Why does Freemasonry instruct us to study rhetoric, which is one of the several liberal arts and sciences? It's this ancient discipline respected by great thinkers throughout history, and it holds the power to transform not only our communication, but our very thought process. As Masons, we're called to improve ourselves in all aspects of life. But how does mastering rhetoric contribute to this journey? And what wisdom can we uncover from this timeless art? Well, in today's fast-paced world, the art of effective communication is more crucial than ever. Yet many of us, Masons included, often overlook the importance of rhetoric in our personal and professional lives. And this oversight leads to missed opportunities for growth, missed ability to influence others, and stops us from actually understanding what other people are saying. And without a grasp of rhetoric, we may find ourselves struggling to express our ideas clearly, persuade others, or fully understand the messages around us. To combat this, Freemasonry, in its wisdom, directs us to study the 7 liberal arts and sciences, with rhetoric being the second to learn. And this tradition dates back centuries, recognizing rhetoric's fundamental role in shaping well-rounded and articulate individuals. In Masonic education, rhetoric is seen as a tool for self-improvement that enables us to express our Masonic values clearly and persuasively, and to engage more effectively with both our brethren and the wider world. The emphasis on rhetoric aligns with our pursuit of truth and our duty to spread light and knowledge. And by studying rhetoric, we equip ourselves to be better leaders, mentors, and representatives of our craft. And while Freemasonry does provide the context for our study of rhetoric, it's essential to understand the core principle of this ancient art. But in order to fully appreciate rhetoric's role in our craft, we must explore exactly what these principles are and how they've changed over time. You see, rhetoric at its core is the art of effective or persuasive speaking, as well as writing. Its roots stretch back to ancient Greece, where it was considered a fundamental skill for participation in public life. The study of rhetoric that evolved through the Roman times, with speakers like Cicero and teachers like Quintilian expanding its scope and use. Aristotle, in his important work self-titled Rhetoric, defined it as the ability to observe any given case, the available means of persuasion. Aristotle proposed that rhetoric comprises of 3 primary ways of persuasion: ethos, pathos, and logos. Ethos appeals to the credibility or character of the speaker, establishing their authority on the subject. Pathos targets the emotions of the audience, aiming to evoke feelings that support the speaker's argument. And logos appeals to the logic and reason, using facts, statistics, and rational arguments to persuade. In addition to these modes of persuasion, classical rhetoric recognizes 5 stages in the rhetorical process. Inventio, or invention, which involves discovering arguments and supporting material. Disposito, arrangement, focuses on organizing these arguments effectively. Or style, deals with the way that the argument is presented, including word choice and figures of speech. Memoria, or memory, relates to memorizing the speech, while delivery concerns the actual presentation, including gestures and tone of voice. Now that we've established the basic principles of rhetoric, it's time to examine their application in Freemasonry. And how does our craft incorporate these concepts into its rituals and ceremonies? And what specific devices are used to convey our teachings? Well, the thing is, Freemasonry actually makes extensive use of the stories and symbols to convey its moral and philosophical lessons. The text in our ceremonies employs various rhetorical devices to convey its teachings and lessons effectively. And here are some of those devices that you may see in the craft. The first is metaphors, which is a figure of speech that makes a comparison between 2 unlike things without actually using the word like or as, such as how we often speak of the lodge as a temple of virtue. And this comparison elevates our meeting place to a sacred realm, emphasizing its role in moral development. There are similes, which is a comparison between 2 unlike things using the words like or as. For example, as the sun rules the day and the moon governs the night, so ought the worshipful master rule and govern the lodge. And in this example, the parallel underscores the master's vital leadership role. And then there's also personification, which gives human characteristics to non-human things or abstract ideas. Like when we say, like the bleak mountain which bears its brow with dignified composure to every tempest and fearlessly presents its bosom to the midnight storm. There are several human characters given here to the mountain, such as having a forehead, and a chest. So as we've seen, Freemasonry employs a variety of rhetorical devices to impart wisdom. However, in the wider world, rhetoric can be used for deceptive purposes. In today's digital age, online discourse often falls prey to deceptive rhetorical tactics, either intentionally or due to lack of critical thinking skills. So the learning of rhetoric is crucial for identifying and countering these deceptive tactics. And by understanding these rhetorical devices, as well as some logical fallacies, we can quickly recognize when they're being employed. So here are some of the common rhetorical devices and logical fallacies that are used in online debate to divert attention from the main argument or manipulate the audience. The first is probably the most common, and it's called the straw man. And this involves misrepresenting or oversimplifying an opponent's argument to make it easier to attack. You've also got a false dichotomy, and this presents only two options when there are actually more. You're either with us or you're against us. But there's also a slippery slope, which argues that a relatively small step inevitably leads to a significant and often extreme consequences. There's appeal to authority, which uses the opinion of an authority figure as evidence in an argument. There's a hasty generalization, which involves drawing a conclusion based upon insufficient or unrepresentative evidence. And then there is my favorite, which is ad hominem. And this is where there is an attack of the person making the argument rather than addressing the argument itself. For example, you can't trust his economic policy because he has a credit card. That's an ad hominem attack. The thing is, these devices, when used intentionally to manipulate or unintentionally due to a lapse in critical thought, can derail productive discourse and lead to flawed conclusions. It's also the leading cause of the spread of misinformation. So instead of engaging in unproductive debates, you can call out these tactics by directly shifting the conversation to the quality of the argument rather than its content. And this allows you to steer discussions back to the substantive issues and promote a more thoughtful, critical engagement with the ideas. However, in most cases, calling out these behaviors just shuts down the conversation because the other person knows their tricks won't work. So now that we're armed with the knowledge of both constructive methods of rhetoric, as well as how to identify and handle the deceptive rhetoric techniques, we can now turn our attention to their practical application. So how is it that Freemasonry actively cultivates these skills in its members? And why are they crucial for our development both within and beyond the lodge? Well, Freemasonry provides numerous opportunities for developing these rhetorical skills. For example, the study of Masonic ritual, including charges and addresses, exposes members to carefully crafted rhetorical compositions that have stood the test of time. And by memorizing and delivering these pieces, as Masons, we practice the art of effective oral communication. Another example is proposing and responding to toasts at festive board. This allows for the application of these rhetorical techniques in a more informal setting. But the tradition of Masonic education talks encourages members to research, compose, and deliver speeches on these various topics, further honing their rhetorical abilities. So it is through these practices that Freemasonry offers a unique environment for continued improvement in the art of rhetoric, which is crucial in everyday life, such as in professional settings, where strong rhetorical skills can lead to more compelling presentations, more persuasive emails, and more effective leadership. Rhetoric also plays a vital role in civic engagement and enables us to participate more effectively in public discourse and makes us more informed citizens.